Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are putting on our tweed jackets, grabbing a lantern, and walking through the iron gates of a place that feels hauntingly familiar yet totally alien.
Mhm.
You know the vibe I'm talking about. Dark academia, autumn leaves swirling on the pavement, heavy stone buildings that look like they're judging you, the smell of old parchment and rain. It's that dream school scenario we've all seen 1,000 times.
Oh, absolutely. It's the owl tapping on the window with the acceptance letter. It's the wardrobe opening into a snowy forest. It is that universal fantasy of being told, you are special, you belong here, come in and learn the secrets of the universe.
Exactly. But today, we are looking at a story that takes that exact fantasy, holds it up to the light to see all the cracks, and then just shatters it on the floor. We were diving into Sibylline by Melissa de la Cruz.
Hmm.
And the reason this story grabbed me, why we have such a massive stack of notes on it today, is because it starts where most of those other stories usually end.
It starts with rejection,
It starts with the word unfortunately.
which is such a heavy, crushing way to begin a magical fantasy. Usually the chosen one is, well, chosen. Destiny calls the answer.
Right.
But here, we are looking at the unchosen. We're analyzing a story about the people who are left standing outside the gate looking in. And the question isn't, how do I save the world? It's how do I break into the place that told me I wasn't good enough?
It's basically The Magicians meets Ocean's 11. It is high stakes, it is messy, and it is absolutely obsessed with the idea of ambition. So let's set the stage before we meet our cast. We are talking about the Sibylline College of Magical Arts.
Right.
Give us the lay of the land here. What kind of institution are we dealing with?
So imagine the Ivy League. Imagine the prestige of Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Now imagine they were founded not just by wealthy industrialists, but by ancient mystics who literally conjured the buildings out of the earth using raw spirit energy.
Whoa.
Sibylline is the ultimate institution. It's located in this sleepy, gray, atmospheric town in the mountains, very Vermont, very rural. But the campus itself is just this fortress of power.
And the exclusivity is the point,
Yeah.
right? This isn't a community college for weekend wizards or, hedge witches.
Oh, no, not at all. This is the absolute top of the pyramid. If you want to be anything in this magical world, a mover, a shaker, someone who matters, you go to Sibylline.
Okay.
The source material makes it crystal clear. Anything else is considered a failure. It's a binary system. You are either in or you are nothing.
That is a terrifying amount of pressure.
Yeah.
And walking right into that pressure cooker, we have our three main characters. They call themselves the Oneric Society.
Which is a bit of a pretentious name, isn't it? Oneric relates to dreams. So they are the Society of Dreamers.
I kind of love it, though. It shows how desperate they are to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So we have Raven, Atticus, and Dorian, three best friends. They have the grades, they have the talent, they have the magical lineage. They have spent their entire lives prepping for this one moment.
The acceptance letter.
Yes. And then the letter comes, and it's a form letter. Unfortunately, we cannot offer you admission.
Well.
That creates a very specific kind of psychological break, doesn't it? I mean, what do you do when your entire identity is wrapped up in an institution that doesn't want you?
Most people would crumble. I mean, they'd go to a safety school, they'd cry, eat a gallon of ice cream, and move on. But this trio, their reaction is fascinating. They decide that if the front door is locked, they're going to find a window.
Or a basement.
Or a sewer grate. Anything.
The side door strategy.
Exactly. They coin this term, Sibylline adjacent. They realize the college is a massive operation. It needs librarians to shelve the books. It needs archivists to dust the artifacts. It needs architects to maintain those ancient, magically conjured buildings.
So the logic is, if we work there, we are physically in the building. We can smell the magic. We can touch the books.
And eventually, we can steal the education. And that is the mission statement of this book and of our deep dive today. We are going to unpack how three rejects attempt to pull off a heist to steal a magical degree.
Okay, so there's a lot to get into.
Oh, yeah. We need to look at their specific powers because they are incredibly unique and, frankly, way cooler than just shooting fireballs. We need to dissect the love triangle, which is, let's just say it's a geometric nightmare of unrequited longing.
It really is.
Yeah.
A total mess. And we need to talk about the school itself, because as we get into the notes, it becomes clear that Sibylline isn't just snobbish.
No.
It's hiding things.
Yeah.
Dead bodies. Dark history.
It's a classic case of be careful what you wish for. They fight so hard to get in, only to realize the house might be haunted.
Or rotting from the inside out.
Exactly.
So let's strip this down. Let's start with the crew. Because in any good heist movie, you need the lineup. Who are these people and what can they do? Let's start with Raven Chen.
Raven is the engine of the group. She's described as the brains or the linguist. In the text, she's often the one driving the academic rigor. She's the one who says, "We can do this."
The leader, kinda.
In a way, yeah. But her magic it's subtle but incredibly powerful. She is a situational polyglot.
I supped on this in the reading because it sounds like something you'd put on a resume to sound smart. But the way it works is just wild. It's not that she studied French in high school or did Duolingo for 6 months.
No, it has nothing to do with study. It's purely instinctual. There is this great scene, it's actually heartbreaking, where she is sitting on a bench in Brooklyn Heights, just stressing about the admissions letter. She's in a total panic spiral.
I remember this.
And she overhears these German tourists who are just hopelessly lost.
And she doesn't know German. She's never spoken a word of it.
Not consciously, but the text describes the sensation of a camera lens focusing in her mind. It's like a physical click. The noise of their foreign speech suddenly rearranges itself into coherent meaning. She opens her mouth and flawless German just comes out.
It's like downloading a language pack straight into your brain, instantly.
Precisely. But it goes deeper than ordering coffee in Berlin. She can read dead languages, Welsh incantations, obscure dialects from 18th century monks. Later in the story, she picks up a spellbook written in Welsh, a language that is notoriously difficult, and the letters literally ripple and rearrange themselves into English for her.
Which makes her dangerous.
Extremely.
Because if the school is hiding secrets in ancient texts, a text that maybe they don't want anyone to read, she's the only one who can crack the code without a cipher.
Which is exactly why she takes the job at the Rosette Library. She embeds herself in the archives. She is surrounded by the very knowledge she's forbidden from learning, but because of her gift, she can read books that even the professors probably can't interpret.
But Raven isn't just a walking Google Translate. She's the emotional anchor, too, isn't she?
She is. She is the one who refuses to let the group fracture after the rejection. She comes up with the plan, but she's hiding a massive secret.
Yeah.
She is deeply, painfully in love with Atticus.
Which brings us to Atticus Edward Garcia. If Raven is the brains, who is Atticus?
Atticus is the architect, but magically, he is the empath. And I want to be careful with that word because in pop culture, empath usually just means I'm good at reading vibes or, I cry at sad movies.
Right.
Atticus's power is much more visceral. It's almost a disability.
The notes mention he describes people as loud.
Yes. He perceives emotions and surface thoughts as auditory noise. Imagine walking into a crowded room, but instead of just seeing people, you are blasted with a cacophony of their insecurities, their desires, their anger. It's mentally deafening.
It's like standing next to a jet engine of feelings.
That's a perfect way to put it.
That sounds absolutely exhausting.
It is. When he starts his job at the architecture firm on campus, it's called Mansart Hall, he is almost knocked over by the noise of the office. He has to use a coping mechanism just to function.
The Fibonacci sequence.
Right.
Yeah.
0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. He recites the numbers in his head. It's a grounding technique. It creates this mathematical wall between his mind and the chaotic emotions of everyone else.
Wow.
It shows us that, for Atticus, magic isn't some fun superpower. It's something he has to actively manage just to survive the day.
And yet he puts himself in the line of fire. He goes to work for Professor Anna White, the legendary architect.
He's an artist at heart. He draws constantly. But his empathy creates this tragic irony in his personal life. He is gay, and he is secretly in love with the third member of our trio, Dorian.
Okay, so Raven loves Atticus. Atticus loves Dorian. I'm sensing a pattern.
You're not wrong. And Atticus, because he's an empath, can sense that Raven has feelings for someone. He feels her longing like a physical weight.
But he doesn't know it's for him.
He has no idea. Because they are so close, and perhaps because of his own biases or insecurities, he misinterprets it. He just thinks she has a crush on some random person. He doesn't realize the call is coming from inside the house.
Oh, that is so frustrating.
It's the tragedy of the empath. He feels everything, but he doesn't necessarily understand the source. He's just drowning in data, but lacks the context.
So let's meet the object of his affection, Dorian Winthrop, the historian.
Dorian is the old soul of the group. He's the guy who dresses in vintage tweed, uses a pocket watch, and works in the Benoist Museum, which is affectionately known as Old Bones.
What is that?
And his power is psychometry.
Which is the ability to read the history of an object by touching it.
Correct. And just like Atticus, this power completely dictates his physical reality. You'll notice in the descriptions, Dorian is always wearing gloves. Leather gloves.
He's not just being stylish.
No, it's a safety measure. If he touches a wall, a railing, or a subway seat with his bare skin, he is bombarded with the history of that object. Every person who touched it, every emotion attached to it, it all floods into him.
There's that really poignant moment in the source text where he talks about his mother.
Yeah, that hit me hard. His mother is in the hospital, and he says he can't even kiss her on the cheek. Because if he does, he won't just feel her skin, he'll feel her sickness. He'll feel her pain and her fear of death efficiently transmitted right into his own mind.
So he isolates himself. He craves connection, specifically with Raven. But he has built a literal physical barrier between himself and the entire world.
And there it completes our triangle. Dorian is secretly in love with Raven.
So Raven loves Atticus, Atticus loves Dorian, and Dorian loves Raven. It's a closed loop, an Ouroboros of unrequited love.
And nobody is saying a single word because the stakes are too high. They're best friends. They are partners in this illicit scheme. If one of them confesses and gets rejected, the whole dynamic collapses. They lose their support system.
So they just live in this excruciating tension.
Constantly.
It adds so much pressure to the heist. They aren't just doing this for magic. They're doing it to stay together. They even have a motto.
Nil sine magno libere.
Nothing without great effort.
It's their rallying cry. They know they aren't the legacy kids. They aren't the wealthy elite who get handed everything. They have to work twice as hard or steal twice as much to get half as far. It's very chip on the shoulder, but it bonds them.
So they have their jobs. They're inside the beast. Let's talk about the beast itself. Sibylline College. Because the campus isn't just a backdrop. It feels alive. And not in a Disney Be Our Guest kind of way.
No, more in the Shining way. Let's look at the architecture first. Atticus is working in Mansart Hall, and he learns something startling about how these buildings were constructed. Professor White explains that the original architects didn't just use cranes and mortar.
Right.
They harnessed the spirits of the natural world.
Which implies there is consciousness in the stone itself.
Exactly. The buildings are basically battery packs of trapped spirit energy. And this becomes a major plot point because Atticus, with his heightened sensitivity, realizes that the Arch's Tower is sick.
This scene was terrifying. He's up on the scaffolding, hundreds of feet in the air, inspecting the masonry, and he senses this disharmony.
It's like a note being played out of tune in a symphony. He can feel it, and then the building literally tries to kill him. A massive stone detaches and just falls.
And it nearly crushes him and Professor White.
Yeah. And to a normal investigator, that looks like structural failure, old mortar, bad weather, you know. But Atticus climbs up to the cornice and finds something else.
He finds a sigil.
A sigil of undoing. It's a magical mark associated with Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies. It's a command written into the very stone that tells the structure to unmake itself.
So this isn't natural decay, this is sabotage.
Deliberate, magical sabotage. Someone inside Sibylline is actively trying to bring the tower down. It suggests an internal threat, a rot within the institution itself. It's really the first clue that the perfect school is actually falling apart.
And speaking of rot, let's go over to the museum where Dorian is working. Old Bones. The name fits because the place is just full of creepy artifacts.
It's a collection of the macabre, skulls with emerald eyes, preserved human skin with tattoos. It really emphasizes that magic in this world often comes from a dark physical place. It's not just sparks and wands, it's body parts and blood.
Dorian has a couple of big moments here that really escalate the plot. First, there's the painting.
Yes, the fake Hubert. This is where we see his power is incredibly useful. His boss, Professor Evander, tests him by asking him to authenticate a painting. Dorian touches it, taking off his glove, which is a big deal for him, and sees the forger painting it in a warehouse with a TV on in the background.
So he's like the ultimate lie detector for objects.
Exactly. He proves his worth to the museum. He's the ultimate authenticator, but then he finds the wand.
The Hecate wand.
Yes. It's an artifact allegedly belonging to the goddess Hecate. This is the turning point of the deep dive for me. When Dorian touches this wand, he doesn't see a nice historical scene.
No.
He sees a murder.
Describe the vision. What does he see?
It's chaotic. He sees a red star. He sees blood. And he hears a girl named Adelina screaming, "Adelina, Adelina, please!" And he sees a figure in Sibylline robes, someone from the school, committing what looks like a ritual sacrifice.
Oh my. So this changes the genre of the story, right?
Yeah.
We aren't just in a quirky academic drama anymore. We are in a murder mystery.
Exactly. The institution isn't just snobbish. It has blood on its hands. They are hiding the disappearance or death of this girl, Adelina. And that wand is the smoking gun.
Which transitions us perfectly to the library, the Rosette, where Raven is working. Because if the museum is hiding bodies, the library is hiding dangerous knowledge.
The Rosette is described as a converted cathedral, which gives it this holy, reverent atmosphere. But the real secrets are deep underground in the Eastern Archive.
The living books. This was such a cool concept.
It's amazing. In this world, grimoires, books of magic, aren't just inanimate objects. If they contain enough power, they develop a rudimentary consciousness.
They have to be locked in cages.
Yes, because if you leave them on a shelf, they will wander off, they will shuffle away. It sounds kind of cute, like a Pixar movie, until you realize why they are alive. They are feral. They contain spells found nowhere else, wild, untamed magic trapped in paper and ink.
Raven's coworker, a guy named Aspen, who we definitely need to talk more about, tells her that knowledge is power. And these books are essentially dangerous animals that need to be contained.
So we have a sick tower being sabotaged, we have a murder weapon in the museum, and we have caged, feral books in the library. The picture of Sibylline is getting darker and darker by the minute.
And that darkness isn't just hidden in the basements, it spills out onto the street. We need to talk about the protests. This segment of the notes really stood out to me because it feels very modern, very relevant to real-world discussions about museums and artifacts.
Absolutely. Raven and Aspen are leaving work, and they run into protesters holding signs that say, "Blood on your hands." These aren't students complaining about tuition. These are people accusing Sibylline of theft.
They claim that the university didn't rescue these magical texts and artifacts from other cultures. They stole them.
It's a direct critique of the colonial narrative that often surrounds museums. You know, the idea that we are keeping these safe for you. The protesters are saying, no, you looted our heritage from war zones, and you are hoarding it.
And how does the administration handle this valid criticism? Do they hold a town hall? Do they issue a statement?
No. Warden Stone, the head of the school, comes out. He's this incredibly imposing figure. He doesn't debate them. He casts a silence spell.
And let's be clear about what that looks like. It's not just a shush. This isn't a librarian telling you to be quiet.
No, it's body horror. He physically seals their mouths shut. The text describes the skin literally growing over their lips. The woman is panicking, clawing at her face, unable to scream.
That is a horrific violation. That is assault.
It's pure assault. And it shows us exactly who Warden Stone is. He values order and the reputation of the school over ethics, justice, or any kind of human rights. He is willing to use magic to literally silence dissent.
And this creates a really interesting conflict between Raven and Aspen. Aspen is, he's a cute archivist guy. He's charming. He likes Raven. But in this moment,
Aspen defends the school. He represents the institutional view. He tells Raven that they're doing justice by preserving the books. The ends justify the means. He completely dismisses the violence Raven just witnessed.
which is a massive red flag.
A huge one. But Raven is an outsider. She sees the woman's fear and she realizes the people holding the keys, the people in charge of all this knowledge, they might be the bad guys.
And this is the moral pivot point for our trio, isn't it? Because up until now, they just wanted to get in. They wanted to be part of the club. But
Now they start to see themselves differently. If the institution is corrupt, if they stole the books, if they hide murders, then stealing from them isn't really a crime, is it?
it's liberation. It's taking back what was stolen in the first place.
Exactly. They shift from seeing themselves as thieves to seeing themselves as Robin Hoods. It morally justifies the heist.
So the objective is set. They are going to break into the Eastern Archives. They are going to steal a grimoire. They are going to teach themselves the magic they were denied. How do they even start planning something like that?
It all starts with a lecture. The trio sneaks into a recitation on magical theory, led by Warden Stone himself. They aren't enrolled, obviously, but they slip into the back.
This is where we see the difference between low magic and high magic.
Right. The students in the class are struggling to wither a flower. Basic stuff. But Stone. He demonstrates Goetia summoning magic. He turns a rose to dust and then summons a book out of thin air.
And for the trio, watching this is just tantalizing. It's like watching someone drink water when you're dying of thirst.
Absolutely. But then they get caught. Professor White Atticus's boss spots them.
My heart stopped reading this part. I thought, game over. They're fired. The whole plan is done.
Me too. But this is a pivotal character moment for White. She catches them, she pulls them aside, and she doesn't fire them. She essentially gives them a nod and a wink. She tells them, if you want to learn, you should look in a library.
That is definitely a green light. That is her saying, I'm not going to teach you, but I'm not going to stop you from taking it.
Precisely. She recognizes their talent. And remember, she knows about the sabotage in the tower. She knows something is wrong at the school. Maybe she sees these three as a disruptive force that's needed.
So they have tacit permission, but they still need a plan. And the preparation requires all of their unique skills. First up, the map.
That's Atticus. He's the architect. He has access to the blueprints in Mansard Hall. He copies them, and he discovers that the campus is connected by this complex, twisting network of tunnels.
He describes it like an anthill.
Yeah, an anthill cast in aluminum.
So they have the route. But a map isn't enough if the doors are locked. They need a key to the archive cages.
And this is where things get morally gray for Raven. We talked about Aspen, the guy she works with, the guy who defended the school.
Right.
Well, Aspen has the keys. And Aspen has a massive crush on Raven.
This is the femme fatale moment.
It is. Raven has to weaponize his affection for her. She stages an accident in the library. She bumps into him with a stack of books and an inkwell.
Classic misdirection. The oldest trick in the book.
And while he's distracted by the ink spilling all over his jacket, she swipes the keys from his pocket. It's pure sleight of hand.
But then, and this is the part that hurts, she has to keep him distracted so he doesn't notice the keys are gone. So she agrees to go on a date with him.
A date she has zero interest in. She has to sit there, smile, and pretend, all to buy time for Atticus and Dorian to get into position. And it culminates in a kiss.
A kiss that Dorian watches from a distance.
That is the dagger in the heart. Raven kisses Aspen to seal the deception. As she does it, she drops the stolen key into a planter behind Aspen's back. And Dorian, who is leaving the museum to rendezvous with them, sees the whole thing. He sees the girl he loves kissing another man.
And he knows why she's doing it. He knows it's for the mission. But that doesn't matter. It still has to crush him.
He has to walk over, retrieve the key from the dirt, knowing it was bought with that betrayal. It really highlights the cost of their ambition. Nil sine magno labore. Nothing without great effort or great pain.
So they have the map. They have the key. It's go time. We are heading into the finale of this deep dive, the execution.
The rendezvous is in the garden at night. There is so much tension here. Atticus is there, and despite the danger, he's, checking out Dorian. He's admiring Dorian in his stealth gear, all black baseball cap.
Listen, Atticus is thirsty, even in the middle of a heist. I respect the commitment to the crush.
And Dorian is struggling. He's reeling from the kiss he saw. But they push forward. They enter Dorsia Hall, the student union. The map says there's a door in the janitorial closet behind the boiler.
And get to the closet. They move the mops and buckets. And nothing.
It's just a brick wall.
Panic mode. Is the map wrong? Did they get played? Are they about to get caught? This is where I thought it was all over.
This is where Dorian shines. We've established that he wears gloves constantly to protect himself from the world. But here, in this dirty closet, he makes a choice. He voluntarily removes a glove.
It's a moment of incredible vulnerability. He's opening himself up to all that noise.
He touches the bare brick wall. He uses psychometry. He searches for the history of the wall. He ignores the panic, the cold, the grime. He focuses on finding the last person who used this entrance.
And what does he find?
He finds a memory. He sees a teacher, a phantom from the past, and he hears the teacher speak a single word,
Pete.
which is Latin for open or reveal.
Dorian whispers the word. And the bricks, they grind open.
Just like that. Magic in action. It's a huge triumph. It's the first time they have successfully used their own magic to bypass the institution's barriers. They aren't just reading about it anymore, they are doing it.
They light a lantern. They step into the dark tunnel. And that is where the source material leaves us hanging, on the precipice of the underworld.
It is the perfect cliffhanger. Because think about what they were walking into. They are three untrained wizards trespassing in a school that we know covers up murders and silences dissenters with dark magic. They are walking into the lion's den.
And they are doing it with a stolen key and a broken heart.
The stakes couldn't possibly be higher. If they get caught, they don't just lose their jobs. Given what we saw with Ward and Stone and the protesters, they could be silenced, they could disappear. They are risking their lives for an education.
It brings us right back to that central theme we started with, ambition versus ethics.
Yeah. They are willing to manipulate people like Aspen. They are willing to break laws. They justify it because the system is rigged against them.
It leaves us with a really provocative thought to chew on. We grow up being told that education is a virtue, that universities are these hallowed halls of light and knowledge. But Sibylline asks a very uncomfortable question. What if the institution is corrupt?
If the library is full of stolen books, And the museum is full of murder weapons. Is stealing from them actually a crime?
Or is it an act of liberation?
It's the Robin Hood dilemma, isn't it? Are Raven, Atticus, and Dorian just common thieves? Or are they reclaiming what should belong to everyone?
It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer. And that's what makes it such a great story to break down. It forces us to ask what we would be willing to risk for our dreams. Would you risk your safety? Would you risk your friendships?
Would you risk your soul?
Something to think about the next time you walk past an old, ivy-covered building. You never know what's buried in the basement.
Or who is trying to break in?
That's all for this deep dive into Sibylline. We'll catch you the next one.
Stay curious.